On the night Adaeze's husband forgot her name, a black hen was buried alive beneath her kitchen floor. She did not know it yet. She was laughing, stirring soup for a man who would wake up in the morning and look at her as though she were a stranger. Somewhere across the village, another woman was whispering her name into a calabash of blood. Her name was Adaeze, and she had been married to Obinna for 7 quiet years. In the small village of Umuakpu, theirs was the love every mother prayed their daughter would find. He brought her wildflowers from the farm. She braided his hair on Sunday evenings. No child had come yet, but patience, she believed, was the oldest kind of faith. But not every eye that watched their love wished it well. Across the market square lived Nkemdilim, a woman with a laugh like breaking glass and a hunger that no man had ever filled. She had watched Obinna since they were children. She had watched him choose Adaeze. And deep in her chest, something old and patient had begun to rot. For years, Nkemdilim smiled when she passed them. She brought kola nuts to their compound. She called Adaeze her sister. But at night, she lay awake counting every laugh she heard from their house, every lantern that glowed too long in their window. Jealousy does not shout. It waits. It learns your schedule. It studies the shape of the life it wants to steal. Then one harmattan morning, Nkemdilim walked alone into the forest path that everyone in Umuakpu avoided. The path that led to the old dibia, the herbalist whose eyes had gone white decades ago, but who still saw things no living man should see. She carried a wrapper bundle, a white cock, and a heart already bargained away. The dibia's shrine sat crooked at the foot of an iroko tree. Feathers hung from its rafters. Clay pots steamed though no fire burned beneath them. When Nkemdilim knelt at the entrance, the old man laughed before she spoke. He said, "I have been waiting for you since the last full moon. You want a man who is not yours. Say his name." She whispered Obinna's name like a prayer, like a curse. The dibia nodded slowly and reached into a gourd. He pulled out a length of red thread, a shard of mirror, and a tiny carved figure with no face. He told her the price. Not money. Something alive. Something that breathed. And something of the wife. Something she had touched with love. 3 nights later, Nkemdilim crept into Adaeze's compound while the village slept. She took a piece of Obinna's wrapper from the washing line. She took a strand of Adaeze's hair from her wooden comb. And behind the kitchen she buried a black hen, still struggling, still blinking, into the soft red earth beneath the grinding stone. By the first cockcrow, the charm had already begun its work. Obinna woke that morning with a headache that would not leave. He looked at Adaeze, and for one strange breath, he could not remember who she was. He blinked. The feeling passed. But something inside him had shifted, like a door opening in a house he did not know he owned. Within a week he began taking the long path home, the one that passed in Nkemdilim's compound. He did not know why his feet turned that way. He only knew that when he saw her grinding pepper outside her hut, his chest felt warm in a way he could not explain. She smiled at him. He smiled back, and the thread around his heart pulled tighter. Adaeze noticed the changes slowly, the way one notices a leak in the roof only after the wall has already rotted. He stopped eating her soup. He stopped laughing at her jokes. At night, he turned his back to her. When she asked what was wrong, his eyes grew distant, as though he were listening to a voice only he could hear. Then came the day he did not come home. Adaeze waited by the door until the lanterns burned out. She walked to his farm at dawn and found the hoe still leaning where he had left it the evening before. A neighbour, eyes refusing to meet hers, whispered the truth. He had been seen entering Nkemdilim's house. He had not come out. The village gasped. The elders summoned Obinna. He came, but his eyes were glass. He said he loved Nkemdilim. He said he had always loved her. He said Adaeze was a stranger who had trapped him with her cooking. The words fell from his mouth like stones, and Adaeze felt each one land on her chest until she could no longer breathe. She returned to an empty house. His clothes were gone, his sandals were gone. Even the wooden stool he had carved for her the year they married, he had taken. She sat on the bare floor and wept until the walls themselves seemed to weep with her. But grief for some women is only the beginning of knowing. Her mother came the next morning, an old woman with grey braids and eyes that had seen too many seasons. She listened to Adaeze's story. Then she asked one question. Did anything change suddenly? Adaeze thought. The headache, the forgetting, the distant eyes. Her mother's face darkened. This is not love lost, she said. This is love stolen. They walked together before sunrise to a different dibia, one who lived deep in the hills beyond the river. His hut smelled of burnt herbs and rain. He took one look at Adaeze and said, There is a black hen buried in your compound. There is a red thread wrapped around your husband's soul. Whoever did this, she meant for you to die of sorrow. He told her what she must do. Dig up the hen, burn it with 7 pepper seeds, and the name of the one who buried it. Wash her body in river water mixed with bitter leaf for 7 mornings. And on the 7th night, place a white cloth on her doorstep. What comes for the cloth will show its true face. Adaeze did everything. She dug behind the grinding stone and found the small rotted bones of a hen wrapped in red thread, just as he had said. She burned it and whispered, I do not know who did this, but the spirits do. She bathed in the cold river at dawn, shivering, weeping, but stronger each morning than the last. Meanwhile, across the village, Nkemdilim began to feel strange. Her food tasted of ash. Her mirror cracked on its own. Obinna, who had clung to her like a drowning man, began to stare at her with a growing confusion, and deep in the night, she heard a hen clucking inside her walls, though she owned no hen. On the 7th night, Adaeze placed a white cloth on her doorstep, as the dibia had instructed. She locked her door. She did not sleep. Near midnight she heard footsteps, slow, heavy, then a voice she knew weeping outside her door. Not Obinna's voice, Nkemdilim's. The charm had turned. Whoever had sent the spirits was now being hunted by them. Nkemdilim fell to her knees on the earth and confessed everything. The dibia, the hen, the thread, the name whispered into blood. She begged Adaeze to forgive her, to lift what had been placed, for the spirits were eating her from the inside. Adaeze stood behind her locked door and listened, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled. By morning, Nkemdilim was found collapsed in her compound, her hair gone white overnight, her eyes empty as a dry well. She lived, but she never spoke again. The village whispered that the spirits she had hired to steal a husband had taken her voice as payment for a tongue that weaves lies must one day fall silent forever. Obinna came home 3 days later. He walked through the door as though waking from a long dream. He looked at Adaeze and his eyes filled with tears. He did not remember everything, but he remembered enough. He fell at her feet. He begged. He wept. He called her every soft name he had forgotten how to say. Adaeze did not answer right away. She let him weep. She had wept alone for many nights, and she would not rush her mercy. But in time, slowly, she lifted him. She told him that what the spirits broke, only patience could mend. And they began again, not as they had been, but as 2 people who now knew what darkness wanted from love. They say in Umuakpu, if you pass the old grinding stone at dusk, you can still hear a faint clucking beneath the earth. And mothers tell their daughters, love that is true cannot be bought with blood, and love that is stolen always bleeds its thief dry. Adaeze kept her husband, but the real victory was this: she kept herself.